Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today we're going to work on making a little homemade tool. So over the Carlisle Hershey weeks, you end up meeting a lot of different people, exchanging ideas and different things like that. And somewhere along the line when I was talking to somebody, I apologize in advance, I forgot their name or who had told me about it, but someone had given me the idea that they had learned from someone else that there was a way to pull these old early Ford steering wheels by using some early Ford parts from a different part of the vehicle. So early Ford, I think up until about 40, I think is when it breaks, there was no location for a steering wheel puller, traditional steering wheel puller where you have the two bolts. You can run down into the center of the wheel, and you can run the center bolt with the crossbar and actually extract the wheel off, no problem. So if you have a 40 Ford wheel, and I guess newer for Fords, you can use a traditional style puller. But on these earlier Fords, a lot like we're messing with 32, 33, 34, even up, again, into 36. I think even the Banjo steering wheels on like 37, 38, 39 do not have the holes either. And it can be a huge pain to actually pull the steering wheel. So you can see on this wheel here, there is some rivets and some holes, but they are not drilled and tapped. Now I've heard of people actually drilling and tapping these wheels so that you could put a puller in them. While that does work sometimes, it also can be a pain, and you may not want to do that depending on the wheel. If it's a nice wheel, you may not want to do that. So there is a tool I've been hunting for, and how this conversation came up was there is a tool that Kara Wilson made that was like a little clamshell that went behind the wheel, and it kind of like hooks over, and then you can actually, it's like a cast iron tool. Then you run the center bolt down through it and actually pulls the wheel off on any of these earlier wheels, Model A's, early V8 cars. So I wish I could find one. I haven't been able to find one, and the couple I've seen that have been on eBay have been very expensive. So the idea that I kind of heard about was using the clamshells from a early Ford Model A all the way up to 48 Ford torque tube style drive lines. There is a two-piece ball and socket kind of setup here that holds the torque tube in at the trans. So there's this piece here that actually bolts to the back of the trans like this, and your torque tube has basically like the opposite of that fits over, and then there is this like kind of clamp here that's two pieces that fits over as well and tightens down. So these two pieces here, I think we can make a puller out of. Now, whoever I was talking to, they were mentioning that they use just this part with a puller, that they were able to just use a normal steering wheel puller. Now, the problem I ran into is the puller I have does not have enough space to sprawl across this to actually get the bolts in to capture on the flange. So we need to make our own. So I was looking around at this and realized that we could probably just use the other half of this to make a puller. So what I'm going to attempt to do is make a puller with this. I got two junk steering wheels here on columns that we cut off that are good candidates. They are rusty, or they're going to be super hard to get off. So if we can do it with this, any nicer wheels are definitely going to be okay. So I'm going to get this all bolted up here, and then we'll show you the idea of what we're trying to do. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is just get this in the vise here real quick. We'll put it over. So this one, some of these, a lot of times while we save them, is the steering drops are actually savable. Even though the column and the box might be all rotten and rusty, sometimes these column drops you can save and either scavenge parts off of, or if you're looking for one that you can just gut and modify for some kind of custom application, I like to save these. So in order to get the other thing I do is a lot of times will save like the column section that has the keyway and the taper on it for changing these around if you want to run a different type steering wheel. So there's numerous reasons why we would need to do this aside from just pulling a wheel in a car. So I'm just going to lightly clamp this in here, and we have our little clamshell section. So I was starting to look at this, and if we put this on here like this, like I was initially thinking, it kind of is going to end up probably bottoming out with the other half. So I actually think that if we swing it around like this with the shorter end, it actually is going to be tighter on the wheel and will give us more area to kind of pull everything together. So I just grabbed some bolts here and nuts, throw this together. So I'll take this half and we're going to put it around. Now I also have a piece of inner tube there that's sitting on the bench that I just have an old piece of inner tube. So obviously for a nice wheel, we're definitely going to want to run a piece of inner tube or something padding around it. So this is kind of like version 1. If we get this to work, I'll probably work on putting some kind of padding on the inside that'll work every time and save the wheel. But for right now, just to test the concept. So put this together like this. I just have these finger tight. So that'll fit up like that, and that'll be our area that is pulling tight there. Now what we can do is take this, put it on the top side like that, and because the flange pattern is the same, we can just line the bolts up. So I grabbed a couple bolts out of the bolt bin here that are long enough. Run this through, like that. Alright, so there, now it's kind of holding itself together. Obviously we got to tighten these 2 bolts. If I could find a couple more, we could put 2 bolts in there, but even just this 2 may be enough to hold everything tight. Now what we need to do is, I need to take a piece of solid stock, which I have somewhere around here, and drill a hole in the center and tap it, and then we can run a bolt down through it. I've already taken a grade 8 bolt that's pretty long. This should be long enough, and actually just ran a die down it and ran the threads all the way down to the bottom so we can run it down, and that should be plenty long enough. We can run it in, and it can push against the column. It's also a grade 8 bolt, so it's going to be a little stronger rather than a crappy grade 5 bolt that would probably just mushroom the second you try to tighten that down. But I'll get that plate in here, and then I'll weld it on, and then we should be good to go. Alright, so I got everything set up. I tightened these bolts down so they're nice and snug. Again, if I'm doing a nice wheel, this is just a test on a junk wheel to see if this will even work. This is like revision number 1, prototype number 1. And see if this will work, and we may modify from there, or we may use that rubber. But for now, I just want to see if this thing will even do anything. I'm using my little light here. One issue I found, or annoyance with this that I probably should work on, is I need to make a better window. I can actually see through the grease hole here and put a light in, make sure I'm centered up on the column tube right with that bolt there. So I had to tap it around a little bit to get that set up just right. So I have it tightened, snugged. So what I'm going to do is just start tightening down on this and see what it's going to do. Should Probably get some safety glasses. This seems dangerous. Alright, got my glasses, got a hammer here because I think we can do this kind of like the hub puller where we tighten it down, give it a shot there, and then tighten it a little more. I'm just using it adjustable for now so I don't go real crazy overboard with this. This is a pretty rusty one, so it's going to take some force. One thing I'm slightly worried about is the tabs on this torque tube piece are kind of wimpy. So I'm not sure how they're going to hold up. Something's moving, but it doesn't feel like the wheel. This thing is really stuck, and I think it just split the threads. So this is why we're testing with junk steering columns and wheels. Felt like something was giving and not what we want. Ugh. Okay, so that didn't work. Alright, so revision number 1 did not work. So the bolt, this one's pretty rusty, so the pressure of the bolt pulling on it actually like split the threads there instead of pushing it down through. So that is not going to work. We're going to have to revisit that, think of a different way, but it actually split the column tube right there and was just opening it up. So obviously that's not going to come off like that. So I got another one over here we can try. I think I'm going to modify the bolt and maybe we can do something there, or we could try and leave this nut on a little bit, but the problem is it doesn't give you much space and you have to take it apart a bunch of times. So I might actually thread a nut or double nut this so we have a bigger area pushing on that. So try that next, see what we can do. Alright, so I'm going to try this steering wheel again. I just kind of tapped it in where it started to split. It may not work, but what I ended up doing is just putting 2 nuts on the bottom and it's double nutting it. We're just, like I said, trying to do kind of a crude setup right now, just a proof of concept. And then I can fancify it. Yeah, I made that word up. Fancify it. And if it works out. So nothing bent or broke on this thing on the actual like cups yet, which is a little surprising. So that was good. Something popped. That's the scary part of this. You don't know if it popped because it came loose or what. Seems to me that might have been it. Could be wrong. That's usually a good sound when you do these wheels. When you hear that pop, it's usually it came off the seat of the shaft, how it off the taper rather. Oh yeah, crap! Awesome, it worked. Let me take you guys off the tripod here. You can see I was able to pop it, and now it's flush. This thing is really rusty, so I think it's actually just fighting me coming off. But you can see it's got play. Now this is just a cut off steering box, or steering wheel and column. So if the box was there, you know, we wouldn't be pulling the column tube up through. But I should be able to clamp onto this a little better and wiggle this wheel off. I'm going to try the other one I have here, which is equally as bad. This one I think is like a 32 pickup or model. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's 32 pickup. This one's really bad too. So we're gonna try this one next. See if I can do it without splitting the column this time. But the double nut idea there seemed to work pretty well. So set that down and give it a try. There it goes. Wow. Well, if we did it on this one, we can work on most anyone, because this one was like really, really stuck on there. But we got it, so got the process down. All right, let's try the next one. We definitely want to try and get some penetrating oil down in that seat, get that soaked down in there. Another trick, take one bolt off. I hope this gets to be one of those things. It's kind of like taking axles apart, where I got all these, you get tricks and you can kind of bang through it really, really quickly. So, all right. Oh, no, could have been that quick. Haven't we? Check it here. And pushing on it. These are like worst case scenarios, so. Just wrecking something. It doesn't sound good. I think something's... There it was. It's like right when everything's about to break. Wow. It's very violent. Got it. All right, so our tool works. It needs some refinement right here. But these are worst case scenario. Got it. All right, so we got 2 steering wheels pulled. It was a learning process for me along the way. That's why we were using junk steering wheels and columns, but it did work. Really, this tool, I need it mostly for this type of work. A lot of times we get like 32 Ford steering boxes. The steering wheel was junk, but the box, the column, the steering drop are all okay, and we need to disassemble everything. We need to get that wheel off. So a lot of times I am working on rough stuff like that when we're taking apart, you know, stuff we find in fields and whatever else. But this will also work, like I said, with getting a piece of rubber here. We can put this around and it will help protect. We can even maybe put some more padding, but I wanted to prove the concept. Now, one thing I will mention, I think I'm gonna beef up, is you can see these ears. That last one was really stuck, so it actually bent these ears a little bit. So I think what I might do is actually put some bracing around this, put some heavier stock, and that will help support that. But those were probably worst case scenarios, so if it worked on that, it was just fine. My welds that I put on just on these corners held up just fine. Nothing was a problem there. Again, I used a half 13 bolt, so it was plenty beefy. The threads are, you know, large on this, and by using that double nut on the bottom side, that solved that issue like the first one where I was starting to split the threads. So this is a way you can make a quick, easy steering wheel puller using old Ford parts that you have laying around. There's something kind of cool about that, about using old Ford parts turned into a tool to take something apart. So hopefully it's helpful for you guys. If you need to make something like this, so you can get these parts at the swap meet or junkyards, different things like that. This is something that's laying around everywhere. If you guys need a set of these to make your own tool, hit us up, irontrapgarage@gmail.com. We have a ton of these around. I'd be happy to, for a small fee, send a set of these along your way so you can also make a tool. If you guys have a better solution for this, drop us a comment down below. We'd love to hear, other than the factory K.R. Wilson tool that you've done before. Drop us a comment down below. We'd like to hear what you guys have done before, but this is a nice solution that I learned through word of mouth, and I wanted to, you know, do a little bit of Mythbusters here and see if it worked, and it did. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Catch you later.